What is up, YouTube, and welcome back to another WildRift video. Riot has not addressed any of the broken champions in the recent patch, and the only thing we've gotten is a Jinx nerf by 4 base AD on a champion that was already on the bottom end of the power level. But don't worry, friends, we have so many busted champions, and one of them is El Corquito. This champion is an unbelievable powerhouse, and people on Chinese server know about that one too well. And oh, look, on the enemy team there is a Jinx. Funny thing, what you can do about these double-ranged poke lanes, you can actually drop bone plating for the sake of going for zombie ward. There's like 25 extra AD, which in dual lane you can more or less reliably gain. On mid lane you see a lot of times that, well, you will not get these stacks because people don't ward, people just don't pay attention, you don't pay attention, there's so many like things that can be like the problem. But here, like, Corki is just unbelievably unbalanced, and the question is why? For Corki, you have multiple builds available, but the one in the bottom you see, where it's Gluttonous Greaves as well as Mana Immune 24s into Den Crit, is one of the best options you have. Because if you go for the crit version, which is the Sense Reaver into Solari, you just don't have any AD. That's like 40 AD, but 50% crit, but you don't deal any damage. If you look at the Mana Immune build and the 24s build, you have a lot of AD from Mana Immune itself, which is roughly 2 items worth of AD if it's fully scaled or when it's fully scaled. And then you have 24s, which provides you with like a decent stat line on many things, plus a very interesting Spellblade proc. The Spellblade proc is 200 of your base AD. Now, Corki even has like a specific line in his passive that his passive, like the crit conversion, also works on Spellblade. Which means Corki has even more burst damage. With all that done, this champion's damage is absolutely and utterly insane. But you know what's also insane? Spending too much money on WildRift skins, specifically on gacha, because gacha is usually a scam. So if you want to have it cheaper, check out the description in the video below the video. Sorry, I can't speak English. Use code Kirks and save a lot of money. But make sure gacha is very evil. Gacha is very easy to lose track of your spending. So please set yourself a limit and, well, quote unquote, gamble responsibly in this gacha video game. Anyways, back to this. When it comes to just laning in general, they shouldn't be having many problems. But with Corki, you can just take it relaxed, because your champion scales pretty well. The champion gets so much AD, and funnily enough, because he's part of the class of spellcasters, oh no, I think, wait, is it spellcasters, or is it spell slingers? Hold up. Because Lucian is in the same class as Corki, and like if you go in with Corki, you have so many different sources of damage. You have 4 damaging spells. Realistically speaking, in most instances, your second ability will not be dealing damage to enemy champions unless they're inside of it, so you normally have 3. But you have that past the auto attacks. Whereas Jinx, for example, as a champion, yes, she has other sources of damage, but this source of damage is relatively low and unreliable to it compared to, for example, Corki, who also has armor and magic resist shred on his third ability. But yeah, this is so annoying to deal with. Melee range on Jinx is really toxic. Now he goes in, looks for an all-in angle. You see the damage he's popping off pretty well. Millie already using most of the healing he has. But yeah, playing against Milio, it's usually not possible to kill unless you have anti-healing. Goes in with the Valkyrie, looks for the damage, Milio pops the ultimate, flash away, flash left and right, Milio knocks him away with the first ability, Yi gets the kill, and everything is, no, well, Yi doesn't get the kill, but Corki gets the kill. But yeah, it is overall pretty worth for the Corki. But if the Corki wants to go for kills during the laning phase, he really needs anti-healing. Like, for example, the Lulu could go for it, or like, he himself, but he would delay his power spike a tiny bit. But here's one of the most best bases here with Caulfield's Hammer as well as a Tear, which are both items that grant you haste. Not only do they grant you both haste, they also allow you to finally spam some spells because Corki is a little bit mana hungry. And here's another reason why Sense Reaver isn't performing well on this champion. It's because it doesn't fix the mana issue. Like, yes, it's supposed to, but it really doesn't, because you need a lot of mana to actually have mana gain from a Sense Reaper. Because otherwise, it's just barely anything you gain back, and then it just doesn't do anything. And this package, by the way, it's so funny. So, the new package of Corki, it doesn't dissipate. Like, you pick it up after you hit a few rockets, and then the 4 big rockets just stay. They just stay. And thanks to that, your damage potential is increased like manifold. The damage is just stupid. So yeah, Jinx used her rocket for the secure of the dragon, didn't gain it, or rather the steal. Millie was spotted in mid lane. I don't know why we didn't go for a dive here. She was alone for a good moment, and we had actual visual confirmation of that one, which means it was a dive angle indeed. Kind of confused why that didn't happen. But yeah, you see the poke coming in clutch. Rocket after rocket is being hit by this Corki. And it's so nice because like these spell slingers, spellcaster, or whatever you wanna like categorize them as, have access to such fast conqueror stacking. Zeri is the same. And if you go for crit, having more AD is really insane. So for this game, I'm really sad that he doesn't have Zombie Ward, because it would be another 25 AD extra he could go for. Like Conqueror, like fully stacked late game, should be 36 AD? Right? Is it 36 or is it 30? I forgot. Anyway, like if you combine these two, that's like roughly an Infinity Edge worth of AD for free that you gain once you're fully stacked. So the damage you deal on crits is quite the lovely number. Corki's only problem here is reaching the Jinx and Emilio. Like, once he gets close enough, life is going to be a lot better. But again, fighting against Milio if you do not have anti-healing is something that you really do not want to do. It just makes it so much harder for you to get any kill. It's just borderline impossible. It's like looking at a Nami that has Summoner Heal as well as Harmonic, and you don't have anti-healing. You just lose, because there's too much sustain coming, because the entire HP bar is getting healed again. But there's one, like, honestly, there's one saving grace about Jinx, though. Like really, that suits WildRift pretty well. It's the reset nature. Like, in this game, she has Emilio with her Ardent Rush, so, like, it's amazing for her already. But if there's one thing, Jinx getting into late game and getting a reset is probably one of the most scary things you can think of. She actually went anti-healing so early to Jinx. Which means the Lulu has heal, and yes, you mitigate a little bit of that healing, but you invested 800 gold into that one. So it's always a question for the AD carry if he really wants to itemize into anti-healing pretty early, because gold investment that could delay your spikes is something that is really painful, but sometimes it's necessary. Like, for example, Corki or Lulu, if they really wanted to go for 2v2 kills, they needed anti-healing. Jumps in here, gets chomped, Veigar is here as well, cages the Yi flashes after, and there's an Ezreal too, so that's an easy pickup, but the Kayle currently is running down the mid lane. The game looks very grim, given that it's 2-9, the Warwick is running down the Ezreal, 125 gold worth is just nothing anymore. And then there's a Kayle here as well. Kayle pops the ultimate, package being picked up. He avoids the Kayle ultimate damage with his Alpha Strike. But yeah, the Jinx gets a reset, is running after the Corki. This could be super dangerous. Will he get her? Flash connects, but Corki also flashes away, so it's a really close call here. And if there's just generally something when it comes to WildRift as a game, people really dislike using anything that is like environmental. Waves, recall timers, like anything that is in the game, anything that is a certain mechanic in the game that is more than just your champion. That is what people really dislike using. And when it comes to just running people down, then they suddenly, they just become these demons that just hunt them down like as if they smell blood. But if it's about setting up these situations, creating them consistently, then you will see most of them consistently fail. Because like this is quite obvious. Like here, this guy was alone, you go in on him early on and then you deal damage, but then it's too much and then you get turned on and you die. And if you look for a sequence, like for example Warwick in this game, if the Warwick jumps the AD carry, in this instance the Corki, the Lulu ult must cancel the Warwick ult, so the Corki is free to move. If that doesn't happen, then Lulu basically failed her purpose, because Warwick is fundamentally not capable of playing when the enemy team has a Lulu. Because Lulu has so many ways of denying this Warwick's abilities. If she actually pays attention, it is. Which is something that usually doesn't happen because, again, most of the Lulu players' population just spam their spells on cooldown on people. And from your experience in the comments below, you most likely have made the same experience. Like, it happens so many times. And it's funny, like, how tanky, like, supports, like, Enchanter supports are nowadays. Like really insane when you look at them building Ardent. Because if we look at the game, having a patch that Lucidity Boots have been like incentivized on Enchanter supports because they have terrible AP scalings, and having more spells available is just overall better than 55 or 50 AP with a little bit of pen when you don't even deal damage in the first place. Then you have the HP from these boots plus Ardent, and you become a lot tankier, which makes it even more difficult for you to get killed. On the other hand, most enchanters before, if they really paid attention to the game they're playing, they would have gone for defensive boots. Like this game, Milio defensive boots, if he wants to be annoying, pretty good. This game, Frozen Heart, pretty good as well for the Milio, just providing utility for his team, because AP values do not really make that much of a difference on the champion if he can do so much more with other items. Like, it's triple AD carry, so Frozen Heart value is insane. But the question always remains if they are aware of this and if they're even interested in doing so. Jinx here really trying to look for the angle. Warwick jumps in, pops the ult, doesn't connect. Oh, he connects onto the Lulu and he gets away with 1 HP. That is an actual tragedy. That is an actual tragedy. Luckily enough though, that the Corki is now getting closer to the mortal reminder. Big damage. My guy has Infinity Orb. That guy is not messing around. That guy really isn't messing around. Baron Nash lost though, like a little bit earlier. Now they are on base defense. It should not be too much of a problem. They should be able to survive this without getting completely ran over. The Corki pot shots with the ult are pretty powerful. The enemy doesn't really have the best siege. I mean, technically speaking, the Warwick can jump in with Kale ult, but that requires coordination. And the solo queue coordination is a rarity. Wait, the Milio has Repulsor. He doesn't want the Yi to stick on somebody. And something many people do not know is that Jinx can reset of epic objectives like Baron, Herald, Dragons, as well as kills and structures. Like, killing a tower with Jinx, if people don't pay attention, can actually net you a few kills. Because people really forget about the ability of Jinx just to run after you. In this instance, you see even with the Milio, it's really difficult to avoid this. And Warwick just misses the ult, dies here. Milio gets blasted a tiny bit, but it seems okay. Jinx has Runan, so she has scaled to a point where she is an absolute threat. Look, she's not even trying to hit that guy, and he just dies. Wait, 77 HP? No way. No. There's no way they actually end up losing this game with that HP. It is an insane amount. Like, this is what I always say when it comes to AD carries in WildRift. If they're like auto tag based, or like are like a certain champion, like for example Zeri. it's so much easier to deal consistent damage to people with Runans, because the moment you hit your priority target, like the initial target, you unintentionally do damage to everything, which makes it so easy. You don't have to worry about positioning so much. Which I think in WildRift, generally in a mobile game, is pretty difficult sometimes, because it's so easy to lose track, and when you lose track with how low the time to kill in this game is, it's just over for you in an instant. And that is just, yeah, luckily they also do not have to contest this dragon for the soul. Ocean Soul in this game would not even change anything, to be fair, so it wouldn't, like, even if the enemy got the Ocean Soul, it would not do anything for the sake of winning or losing. It's not game-changing due to the champions they play. Warwick jumps in completely alone. Nobody's even in range. The Warwick is currently just running it down, but there's a Kayle with ultimate ready. The Milio pops ult as well. Kayle walking forward, pops the ult, does some good damage. Corki flashes away with 1 HP. Lulu also escapes with like 1 HP as well. Warwick is apparently just the king of baiting. Oh, this is going to be very tough. Like, they have to clear mid-wave and survive against the super range from the Jinx. Jumps in, goes for damage as much as he can, and he one-shots the Jinx. This was the game, like, changing moment. Like, if he doesn't kill the Jinx here, and the Jinx gets to heal up from the Milio again, or gets minions to just blast other people with Runans, it would just be over. He needs to be really careful. Veigar one-shots with Q ult. Okay, a Monokil comes in. Now, I think, yeah. And yeah, Warwick gets cancelled. I think Lulu even messed up. It could have gone wrong, because she like instantly ulted, and if the Warwick just waited a tiny bit, it could have been really sketchy. But maybe the Warwick wouldn't have had enough damage. Lulu completes tank. Lulu, tank. Lulu. Lulu. Unbelievable. It doesn't matter though. It really doesn't. I really hate it when support champions do not tank Baron. Like, unless there's like a reason for it. Because, in case you don't know, like I've probably said this like 9 billion times, if you get hit by Baron Nashor, you get a damage debuff of 50%. You deal 50% less damage to everything on the map, including champions, which means it's easier for you to get your stuff stolen. You can't turn that easily because you deal less damage. Like, there's a bucket load of problems linked to that one. And if another person gets debuffed by Nashor, contrary to PC League, the debuff doesn't vanish on the first person. It goes on both people, because it has a time duration. And yeah, you can pretty much imagine what happens even if you're ahead in such a fight, suddenly dealing 50% less damage. You might just lose the game. This is really sketchy. Like, Kayle, Jinx, Milio. Like, on paper, it should be unlosable now. Because, like, it's late game. Kayle will just press R on somebody, and then you just die. You just die because you just get ran down, and there's nothing you can do about this one. So the question is, how do they fix this? Okay, they got Elder for free. And now they have Big Poke. These Corki rockets now are going to stick. Like, they're going to do so much damage. Jumps in, wants to go for the highlight play, the TikTok special. Kayle jumps in, Zhonya's #1. On the Ezreal, Kayle lost her ultimate if I'm not mistaken. Now they'll just end the game. He does so much damage. Elder procs? No, it doesn't. Oh no, this game is an actual battle of emotion. Look, 2 people died and only Jinx is it on the enemy team. Like, he really has to finish the game. He's not messing around. He is finishing the game. He really just didn't want to just give up anymore. And honestly, now, after watching this game, if you want to watch this second game, check out their channel in the description below. And if you want to see more of this content, let me know in the comments below. We'll be back to uploads very soon on this channel too, so don't worry about it. And don't forget, if you want to save on skins big time, feel free to check out the Zoo in the description below and use code KERKS. Take care and have a beautiful day.